You're gonna have to survive a dungeon.
Let's get it on!
I read an article about prisoners being made to fight to the death, and in a private prison. So I went down this rabbit hole of researching private prisons and realizing that they were being now controlled by corporations, and the corporation's bottom line is profit. And so in order to fulfill and justify these private prisons being made, they have to have bodies inside of them. And usually those bodies are black and brown. They come from our communities. And so I wanted to kind of pull back not only the curtain on some of these things that are going on with the private prison systems, but the conditions inside. And I started to read more about things of free labor and slavery type conditions in these private prisons, and wanting to wrap it in an action movie package so that it could be presented as a movie with a message. And so that was the beginning of the script, and me wanting to tell the story. And it turned into something much bigger and more fantastic than I could have set out to do. Sometimes God is bigger than your own dreams, and in this case, coming with a mission and a message, I think snowballed into something bigger than I expected, particularly with this cast and us being blessed to be able to shoot inside of a real prison. You can't build a real prison.
You touched on something that I'm going to ask you about a little later in the film, about vision and basically expansion. But how long did it take you to write the script, and did you add your own characteristics to Terry Savage?
Yes, well, anything I write is an extension of what's in my mind, and also the influence of movies that I grew up with. I was a kid that used to go to the video store, rent 8 or 9 movies at Blockbuster. We remember Blockbuster, R.I.P. And study them. And so I wanted to write this prison action movie and infuse what I love into it, which is martial arts. I'm a huge martial arts, Bruce Lee movie. I used to go to the video store and rent Enter the Dragon over and over, and Five Fingers of Death, and The Kid with the Golden Arm. So in the heart of this movie is a martial arts setting. Even the idea of Tyrese being this kind of rogue warrior who's sent inside this mission, and he finds a master, which is Terrence. And Terrence being a teacher to him and a mentor to him, and also explaining to him what's going on inside this place, inside this system, and that they were going to have to fight together. So there's a lot of my own personal inspiration inside of this genre being an action movie. Then also the idea of wanting to include a message into it, but not hit you in the head, have it become a part organically of the story. And I think that's what we were able to do with this fantastic cast that came along and decided to rock with me on it.
Okay, and speaking of the cast, there was talks about this film in 2018. And that was a different cast from what I read. How did this particular cast stand out? Tyrese is phenomenal. Terrence Howard can do no wrong. I don't care if he's driving Miss Daisy. He can do no wrong in my eyes. So how did you select the cast for this film?
So, yeah, and as you asked earlier, the script was a script that I kept putting down and picking back up. We had a false start around 2018 where we thought it was going to go, and it didn't. You have to catch lightning in a bottle to get a movie made sometimes. And we were able to start talking about getting it made again. And during 2020, ironically, during quarantine, some financiers had read the script. I had done a movie called Welcome to Sudden Death on Netflix with Michael Jai White and Gary Owen, which is an action comedy. So it spoke to my ability to do action and fights. And so these financiers came along. And so the first person that I wanted for this movie was Tyrese. We were friends. We're bonded through John Singleton, who's a mentor and big brother to both of us. And so he was the linchpin to start it. And Terrence was a personal call from the producers and Tyrese, excuse me. There was another actor that was supposed to fulfill that role who wanted a lot of more money in the 24th hour. And Terrence read the script. We made him an offer. He swooped in literally within a day. God is great. You know, sometimes he's greater than you're thinking. And when I went to the first day to set, you know, there's Tyrese in one trailer. Went to the next trailer. There's Terrence in there. We talked the first time we met, 45 minutes. We talked about Singleton. I go to the next trailer. It's Jeremy Piven in there. And I had stepped out and had to get my head together and realize now I had to do my thing and go make this movie with these guys because they're all superstars and all awesome in their own right. And you could make a movie with just one of these guys and be good.
That's
so
right.
To have all three was, you know, it's no pressure.
It was pressure. Let's not downplay it. It was pressure, okay?
Oh yeah, it was real. It was real pressure. But you know what I tried not to do is let my mind get in the way of the mission, which is not let myself trick myself out of being nervous. I was nervous, but I wasn't going to let that show. I learned something a long time ago from Singleton, which is know your script better than anybody else. So Tyrese said something, or Terrence said something, or Jeremy said something, I had an answer for them because I knew the script better than anybody. And that allowed me to step into the arena to play with them because they respected me on that level. It's like, hey, if the guy doesn't know anything, he knows this damn script backwards and forwards. So we're gonna listen to him, and they did, and we turned out and make something pretty good, I think.
You did. Congratulations. Now, did Tyrese have additional training? Like, who had additional training to facilitate the role?
Well, I can't give away all the secrets of a movie, but I will say that we had a great stunt coordinator, fight choreographer, David Conk, who made me look good. His stunt team is incredible. We did have a real martial artist in the movie, Maurice Crump, who plays Freeway. Again, this is at heart a martial arts movie. So Maurice was in Welcome to Sudden Death with Michael Jai White. He played one of the bad guys, so I had to put him in this. So when you start to surround yourself with real fight stunt coordinators, you put a real martial artist who's an actor in the movie. Terrence knows a little something from his days as a kid. And Tyrese can fight. He's not a martial artist, but what I was able to do with Tyrese was play to his strength, which was I wanted him to be silent in this movie. And when he did speak or move, everything was intentional. I had him watch a movie called First Blood with Sylvester Stallone. And Stallone has about 5 lines in that movie, but every line is important. And he moves in a silent way. He's a silent but deadly person in that movie. And so I wanted to model Tyrese after that. So we got away with some things, even though Tyrese isn't a trained fighter. We were able to do some things with the magic of movies and with his own personal skill set that sold everything. And we did some things with Terrence, not to give any spoilers away, that allowed him to show the little something he can do as well.
Okay. So speaking of the culture, black film, why was this important to keep it at a black-led cast?
Well, it's important for me to create black action heroes and heroes of color. And even though this is a movie, we're talking about the private prison system and just the entrapment of black and brown men in the prison system. It's also about a brother who's a father who's trying to save his daughter and what he will do, the lengths we will do to save our families. And this brother is willing to go into this nightmare scenario to save his daughter. And for me, that's a hero. And so I wanted to be sure to create a black action hero in this movie. That's a mission of mine. Terrence is also a hero in the movie. He is a master, if you will. He's a Mr. Miyagi in the movie. And so I wanted to, in a sense, create these heroes in this kind of world where you don't expect a hero. And they're able to together turn the tables on what's happening to them without giving anything away. So that was important to me, and that's something that I strive for, and what I create is creating heroes of color.
I love that. Now, you are a protege of the phenomenal director, Mr. John Singleton. Of those lessons you learned from him, and what stands out the most, and what did you use for this film?
The thing that stands out the most, John turned me into a director. I was already a writer when I met him. And then we had the opportunity to work together on a show called Rebel. And John said, "Why aren't you directing? You're a great writer." And I said, "I'm not you. I'm not trained for this." And he said, "Get a notebook, follow me around anyway, and write down everything I do. It's the knowledge that makes you a director." And so I did that. I wrote down everything he did. And from that, I got an opportunity to direct my first movie, which was a movie called Thriller for Blumhouse. It was on Netflix. I think it's moving to Peacock now. But the thing that John empowered me the most with, he said, your voice is important. Meaning, if you're a writer or creator, your voice is what makes you unique. And so do not water down that voice. Do not change that voice. Do not deviate from that voice, even though they might give you notes to do so. Compromise where you want to choose to compromise, but don't lose your voice, because that's what makes you unique. And that's the thing that made him so special. From Boys in the Hood all the way to Snowfall, that was his voice. From the beginning to, an untimely end, that was uniquely him. And sometimes he was punished for that because he would not compromise on the studio side. Punished meaning someone would say he's difficult, or he sticks to his voice, he doesn't want to change it. Well, that's what made him unique. And now we're in a position as filmmakers of color that we can stay true to our voice. And that was the thing that resonated the most in this movie, because we shot this movie in a real prison. We had real prisoners working on the movie. We had real prisoners in the movie. And 10, 15 years ago, they wouldn't have let me make a movie about the corruption of the private prison system. It just wouldn't have, they would have said, "Nah, that's you're doing too much, brother." And because I was able to stay true to that voice, like John said to me, there was times we're making this movie, and we're talking to the real warden of this jail we're shooting in, and I'm going, you know what I'm doing. you know what I'm making this, what this is about. And it's staying true to that voice. And so that was the biggest thing I could have taken away from my relationship with John, that still empowers me to this day.
And I have two more questions. In using your voice, how I know that this film is based off of what you do in 2015 about the corruption in the private prison system. How will it address what's going on now with systematic racism?
Well, it addresses that, and the idea started in 2015, but the script was in continuously a work in progress all the way up until I was shooting last summer, and even then. So there is no dated sense of the corruption and the institutional racism that happens, and we address it in the movie directly. Again, if you build a prison, you need bodies for it, and those bodies tend to come from our communities, and that has not changed and will not continue. Won't change until we do something about it. And so that is the message that started and resonated and continues to go throughout, because private prisons, the industry itself is bigger than, the food corporations in this country, or athletic. There's more prisons being built than schools.
Right.
So we have to address it and find a way to at least make the playing field even, and discovering the conditions on the inside, so that these men and women are treated humanely. And that's really what we're aiming for, is to try to improve the conditions inside and speak on it. Even though we're doing it in a action fight way, we're still talking about the injustices that happen to our people inside the prison system, on top of the ideas of how they wind up there, innocent or guilty.
That part. Now, looking beyond the vision of what you thought you would be, which was the writer, can you give words of encouragement on that for the person who's inspiring to be just one thing? And on top of that, staying inspired and not being afraid of embarrassment or the struggle trying to get where you need to be or where God has called you.
Yeah, well, look, you have to stay consistent to the dream in your heart every day, good or bad. If there is a dream in your heart or a goal in your heart, then you should be doing something every day to achieve that goal. There is no off time. There is no I'll come back to it. You need to take an hour every day to work on your dream, because that's in your heart. And even when it looks like things are dark, I was in this business. I'd sold 5 or 6 screenplays to studios. I got to make an independent movie with Master P, Uncle P with Little Romeo. And then nothing happened for 4 years. I went broke. I ended up in a 1-bedroom apartment. I was renting a home in Baldwin Hills here in California. I ended up in a 1-bedroom apartment with my wife and 2 kids. And I considered Uber driving after some people had considered, thinking I had made it. And the one thing I did in that 1-bedroom apartment was I wrote every day. My wife took up the mantle and became creative. She was already writing, but she decided, I'm going to stay consistent as well. And in that 1-bedroom apartment, she wrote our show Rebel, which eventually John and I produced. And I continued working on the system in that 1-bedroom apartment. And that opportunity to direct that movie Thriller came when I was in that 1-bedroom apartment, as well as us getting our show Rebel greenlit. And so even when we were in our darkest moments or economically unstable, we stayed consistent creatively and were able to rebound out of that scenario. And maybe God put us in that position to do those things right there. Sometimes God sits you down and says, no, we're going to do this right now so that you can get to the other side of this dream. But we stayed consistent. And I think that lit a fire underneath us to want to do more. Yes, I want to direct. Yes, I want to produce. Yes, I want to continue to write. And now we've made those things happen, and I'm on my 3rd movie directing now. And it would not have happened if I did not hit that downtime and moved in that 1-bedroom apartment and was forced to do nothing else but be creative and consistent.
Oh, man. So inspiring. Thank you so much, Mr. Dallas. Let me tell you something. You inspire me, okay? If I haven't already said it, and I know I did just now, so I'm telling you again, you inspire me and all the Black creatives out here. So, with that being said, what theater should we pile into to watch this movie?
Okay, so wherever you are in the country, you're going to have to Google in the system theaters and see if it's playing near you. It'll be in the theaters for about another week or so. It's on 300 screens. But this Friday, November 4th, it will be on Apple TV. It will be on demand, so you can watch it in your homes. I believe it will be on Amazon, but it will be for sale this Friday. You can pre-order it on Apple now. And so it will be everywhere Friday digitally. We'll find out the streaming, like Netflix and of it, later, but you can for sure buy it this Friday. And if you want to see it in the theater, Google to see if it's near you. It's 4 theaters here in LA. I know it's all over Detroit. It's in Chicago. I know it's playing down in North Carolina. So check your local theater. It's fun to watch it in the theater. You want to see some brothers kick some ass and burn down the prison system. Go watch it in the theater, but you can watch it on your big screen at home this Friday, November 4th.